I know we're getting late in the day, but I did have some kind of closing remarks that I wanted to make. So just first off, a recap on ADAPT. So we are headquartered in Trinity, Research Ireland funded research centre across 8 universities, over 100 academics leading the research programme across all sorts of disciplines, and about 500 researchers and innovators and professional staff in total. And we're deliberately aligned to national and EU policies for governance and standards and industrial development. Here's some of them here: the EU AI Act, or the EU AI Act, the Irish AI Strategy, Impact 2030, and so on. And we also work very closely with our partners in the public bodies such as the IDA, Research Ireland, Enterprise Ireland, and mostly really for connecting with industry and having an enterprise impact. Okay, so earlier, John described here on the left our kind of research program, how it's structured, its values and its mission. And then within my organisation, we have a design and innovation lab that's this dedicated two-way bridge to industry. So I won't dwell on this very long, but effectively this is a professionally resourced group of people. 2 of them here in front of me. Conor McNally, I think, is still in the room as well, who looks after our startup incubators. We have professional project managers. We've got HPC infrastructure, legal support, and so on. And this enables industry to work more easily with us. So it's one front door to knock on, to connect with a whole range of researchers across all of our 8 member universities. And then here's some of the brands that we're working with on the left-hand side, or on the right-hand side. It's not just joint labs or future technology labs that people collaborate or come to us on. Access to thought leadership, for example, on the whole kind of area of ethics and governance and regulation, that's really blown up in the last few years since the EU AI started. So that's a busy piece for us. But also undergrad or PhD training. So we trained 173, I think, John, over PhDs over the last 10 years, and then many more through collaborations with industry and for the Centres for Researcher Training. So that's a really important one. Working with companies to help build capacity internally. So we've done a few collaborations with the Business School in Trinity to develop bespoke executive education programs. But we can also work with companies to access other funding supports, whether it's DTIFs or disruptive technology innovation funds from EI in Ireland, or whether it's EU funding. And here's, we're going to share these slides with you, so I don't expect you to write all of this down. All of these people are in the room. Olivia is here still, I think. Olivia put all of this together, so a round of applause for Olivia. And of course, it's Olivia and Alex and Jenny and the wider team behind that. So I had a couple of kind of takeaways, and then just as it went on, it got longer and longer, but I thought I would just kind of call out a few bits from today. I think that my last bit is from Gar, actually, is sort of quotable, something or other, something that was highly quotable. So I'll start with you. One of the quotes I liked from you is that we need to stop the magical thinking and figure out what's real. I think that's really important with certainly the hype around AI. But first off, if you cast your mind back to Precision ALS, a great exemplar of a kind of academic industry collaboration. So we heard from Biogen, but there's also IQVIA, Novartis, and Irish startups like Gatekeeper involved in that. A globally ambitious rare disease network, unique really in the world in terms of its scale. I'd forgotten only that Orla mentioned it earlier, that it's 20 sites now, I think across 14 countries. It's really a huge initiative. And enabling clinical research based on rich time series, longitudinal, multimodal data, comprehensive data sets, social care, economic data, as well as kind of phenotypic data and clinical notes and so on. And I guess in the panel afterwards, then we heard from kind of Rory and Brona about opportunities for the clinical trials landscape in Ireland. We don't do clinical trials really to a great extent in Ireland, and I think initiatives like Precision ALS will help enable that. Then we heard Edmund chaired, and thank you, Kieran, by the way, for moderating that. And then Edmund led the next discussion, which was on the joint labs and the future technology labs. So some really interesting insights there, especially with technology moving so quickly. The pace of it is moving so quickly. It creates so much uncertainty. The regulatory environment is evolving and arguably trying to catch up. And I guess what these kind of initiatives do is it gives a safe space, I think is the words that Nicola used. Don't be afraid to fail, but do so with the right guardrails in place. So it's important to have a sandbox with the right multidisciplinary expertise drawn from the universities that are then augmenting these kind of innovative initiatives within enterprise. It's a really valuable thing. And I think News Corp and Dublin City Council have cottoned on to that. So they're two kind of flagship partners there. The second half of the session then looked much more towards societal issues, right? So we got into privacy and governance and like the really important issues, the melting of the ice caps, right? The uncomfortable truths around the environmental impact of this technology. So yeah, mis and disinformation and how from the last session, how open source is potentially mitigating a lot of these risks and offering a way forward, right? So it's often easy to get lost in the negativity associated with this kind of big technology wave, the pace of it, who owns it, who controls it, monopolistic behavior, the social impact and so on. But I think out of today, there's a lot of kind of hope there, right? So there's a lot of optimism for how we can move forward. I really enjoyed the discussion that Katrina Heinel led around cybersecurity and misinformation. It's great to hear from Richard about the new cybersecurity strategy and the associated legislation and just an enhanced capacity for risk awareness in Ireland. That's encouraging, kind of makes me sleep a bit easier at night knowing that. And then I guess how misinformation and online harassment, I had not known this and I don't know if anybody else did, but how misinformation and online harassment is now, it's sort of popped out of the digital world into real life and people are getting harassed on the streets. This kind of stuff dressed up as activism is really unsettling in our democracy and in our society, and it's not just here, it's worldwide, and I blame the internet. And then from Donna about how research is moving from risk to resilience, and then great to hear about her new Cyber Unite initiative. The still fresh in my mind, of course, is Meredith's talk with Abeba, and they're both amazing people. I would know, obviously, Abeba much more over the last couple of years through Trinity and through Adapt. So I love that idea is bigger, better. Especially given the hype around AI, a lot of it driven really by investors, the people who are pouring money into this. Of course, they want all the hype there to kind of worry people and excite people and obviously bring in more funding. But I like that kind of question as well. How do we define better? And that's something really that multidisciplinary research communities are very good at designing, bringing in different methods from social sciences, health economics, from technology, from different disciplines to actually think about like how do we combine those methods and come up with frameworks for actually assessing this and evaluating it, and then mapping that to societal values or a plurality of societal values for different communities that need to use this technology. Another catchphrase for you, I don't know if you noted this one down, Gar, definitional arbitrage around OS. So I've jotted that. I'm going to use that one definitely, and but it's understandable. It's kind of what you call it, virtue signaling in a way, where you kind of claim that it's open source and it confers all of this these other kind of features to it. I think Sarah described it as policy privileging. It's a similar kind of concept, and. Yeah, and then also I suppose the hope from the final session about open source, maybe offering a route to explainability and transparency and trust and collaboration, so that the technology can get better, more effective, leaner, smaller models, not melting the ice caps as much. That's all really important. Bastian's point about innovation, standardization and control, really important. They're sort of three tenets that you can take anywhere, and good to see that there's some movement on the AI model card standardization. So that's it. That's a kind of a whistle-stop tour of a recap. I'm delighted that we've recorded this event, because by taking notes and being busy doing tech support earlier, I probably missed a lot of really good stuff. So I'm looking forward to watching back. So thanks to all of the contributors today, for Olivia and her team for organising it, for my colleagues Edmund, Kieran and Connor for contributing today as well, and for all of you for sticking with us, and look forward to seeing you for the next iteration of this, maybe sooner than we think, given that the amount of undiscussed content that was left on the table today. So thank you very much.